Moving on to our first agenda item of the evening, we have Kathleen Joyce, the Chairwoman of City of Boston Licensing Board, here to speak with us, just to provide updates regarding COVID-19 guidelines and additional general updates on behalf of the City of Boston Licensing Board. So welcome, Kathleen, and if you should be able to unmute yourself right now.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I did. Thanks, Brett. I was happy to get your invitation, and I'm happy to talk to you guys tonight about some of the things that are going on in the licensing board. As we enter this third phase, Boston has taken the extra step to start even more cautiously. John asked me to talk a little bit about the outdoor extensions. I think I've talked a lot about it at the previous hearing, and I just want to reassure everyone on the call tonight, the North End is doing a good job. From a public health and a public safety standpoint, what we've done in the last couple of days is we've asked all the restaurant owners to get their own barriers. The city has gone through the neighborhood and has picked up the city issued barriers so we could deploy them to other parts of the city that haven't had an opportunity to open up outside yet. And just as a reminder, the guidelines ask that the tables be 6 feet apart. It's not chair to chair, it's table to table. And I'm bringing this up because we, the licensing board gets copied on every 311 complaint that comes in having to do with restaurants. So we do respond to every single one of them. There have been some complaints recently about tables being too close together, employees not wearing masks, and I can assure you we have addressed each and every one of those complaints with John's help. Restaurants are allowed to still have live entertainment inside. None of these extensions are permitted to have any outdoor entertainment, and we don't have any plans on extending that at all through the summer or for the length of these outdoor extensions. We had to go back and forth with some of the restaurants on this. We had changed our guidance as we developed this program because we weren't sure if the streets were going to be closed or if they're going to be made into one way. So at the beginning of this, there might have been some confusion as to the types of barriers that were allowed. Right now, with traffic going 2 ways on Hanover Street, all those restaurants should have a hard barrier, L-shaped, as traffic is coming on, and then they should have another enclosure along the side. And our staff has been out there. We've talked to every licensee, and I think the neighborhood looks pretty good. And we don't have an end date for this program. We don't expect it to be we don't expect it to continue next year at all. This is really in response to the governor's state of emergency and the COVID and what's going on with COVID. But we are open to extending the program through the summer and maybe into the early fall as the weather if the weather cooperates. But right now we've gotten some questions about when this is ending. We don't know yet, and we're trying to balance the interests of both the residents and the restaurant owners. And so please give us your feedback, contact us with questions. We're happy to help, and we understand that we didn't have an opportunity for neighborhood input. Our first goal was to help get the restaurants back on their feet. So we do appreciate everyone and their patience and their understanding as we tried to get this right. And I'm happy to take any other specific questions about the program in general, or specific questions about what to expect next. But right now, I think the North End is in good shape.
Sorry, thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate those updates. Right now, what I'll do is I'll open it up to members from the council. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourselves or and ask any questions if you'd like.
I have a question. Oh,
yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, Damien, we can hear you.
Hi, Kathleen. Thank you for coming.
Sure.
Did you guys, have you considered speed bumps at all on Hanover Street? I know that I've discussed this before, and
yeah,
curious, do they make sense? And if not, why don't they make sense?
So that would be a public works and transportation conversation. That was part of the conversation at one point, but I don't know the reasons why it didn't happen. And I think you did bring it up on our hearing, and I can try to get an answer for you. I don't know if John remembers what the answer was, but we did have some conversations about speed bumps.
Yep. So Damien,
that's my concern is you have motorcycles speeding down here, and sometimes you have Regularly, not even sometimes. You got these people. I'm not going to say younger people. It's younger, it's older, it's everybody. But they're racing down as if they're on, if they're on a dragway. You know what I mean? And I've seen that happening. And I've been speaking to other business owners and residents, and a lot of people do like the idea of speed bumps. It stops people from getting crazy, or from being reckless or careless.
Mhm.
Damien, what I can tell you is too, is that, so we talked about speed bumps originally. The traditional speed bumps that we have won't work with the fire department being able to go down Hanover Street itself. It's part of what we have to work with them. A1 has been fantastic, where they have had, and I think you've seen them too, they do typically try to have an officer down there if they can. They try to do rounds as they can as well. And we are looking at, working with BTD to see if there's other alternatives that we can provide too. The state has been wonderful, where they provided us those big flashing signs of the go slow, to also try to deter some of that. It's still happening, and we can see that it still does happen down there, but it's not a forgotten part of what we're trying to work on. But it's just with speed bumps in general, it's hard with the fire department being there, and their trucks not being able to go over them.
So if somebody has a fire and they live somewhere where there's speed bumps, the truck's not going to get there. That's what I don't understand. Are the trucks built to go over them?
To my understanding, when we were talking about, they're built to go over, but it will destroy the speed bump as it goes through. So,
Got to save a life, destroy a speed bump. We all kick in and we get another speed bump, right?
So again, as we go through, we've been working with BTD to try to come up with some other solutions. In the meantime, we've had A1 has been fantastic in sending over an officer to help be a deterrent.
As they have, that's for sure.
So Kathleen, just another question, just so that all the residents understand the guidelines and can clearly understand so you said tables 6 feet apart. Is that from the edge of the table to the abutting tables, edge of the table, or the center table?
Table,
Sure.
the edge of the table to edge of the table.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And then is there any restrictions as far as have you seen or gotten any complaints about patios being extended out too far, or is there?
We haven't gotten complaints about patios being spread out too far, because John and other people in City Hall went out after our last hearing and made sure that everything was in line. We've gotten complaints about tables being too close together, tables obstructing pedestrians walking on the sidewalk. And I'm not sure if it's the north end, but other parts of the city, we're having complaints about lines and people not wearing masks in lines, and people have to have masks while waiting in line. And in general, I think people are looking for more. They're looking for more music. They're looking for more entertainment. And there's no appetite right now for Boston to do anything on these outdoor spaces.
I mean, 11 p.m. is now the new 2 a.m. So, I mean, it's kind of good that everybody closes down, to be honest with you. And on behalf of business, I want to thank you guys at City Hall. It was good what you guys did for us, and we hope to maintain this, and we hope to be good citizens and do a great job, as we are, I think.
Yes, I think you all are. So I appreciate the cooperation.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Is there any other questions from anyone else? So non-council members, feel free to unmute yourself or send me in the chat and I can unmute you.
Hi, I have a question.
Yep.
Debbie and Larry Richards, 61 Prince Street, new residents, very happy to be in the North End. So my question is about something maybe to look at with the truck traffic on Hanover, because the delivery men have nowhere to park, which is completely understandable. And they're pulling over on the street, and it's taking us 20 minutes sometimes to get down Hanover, and you have traffic going both ways in one lane to get out of it. And the other day, someone literally backed down Hanover a good couple feet to get across street. So I think it's creating a little bit of an issue, and maybe there's something you can do for the trucks, where they can go, or space, or a time, or something could be worked out to make the traffic a little better there.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. One of the things we're working with BT right now is actually coming up with commercial loading, like adjusting the commercial loading, unloading zones that typically were on those spots of Hanover Street and Salem Street, as well as like pickup drop-off locations, to really try to be able to make sure we identify some spots for those places to go. That will then have to be a coordination with the businesses to make sure that their trucks are going to the new spots, to be able to make sure that they're not on Hanover Street double parking, or now just like being on the one way from there. So it is something that we are actively working on, and I appreciate you sharing those concerns again here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And if you need, John shared his contact information in the chat box for all of you who didn't see it. So please feel free again to follow up with him regarding those complaints or regarding those questions. Anyone else with any other questions? Marie, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
What about the handicapped spots that are taken up by the tables?
While we are doing the commercial unloading as well, we're looking at basically any of the parking that was the previous signage that is now taken up. We're looking to reallocate all those different items. So those are on the same people that are having that conversation with the commercial loading. Unloading is also looking at those as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other licensing directed questions for Kathleen that she could answer? It doesn't have to be code related, anything as far as like applying for licenses or how the license process works if you're unclear.
Hello?
Yes, Darlene?
Yes, I have a question. Some of the signs that are up that say cafe parking, some restaurants decided not to put anything there. Is there any way we can take them signs down so the residents can have the spots back and not the restaurant owners privileged parking?
Darlene, John and I can look into that. One of the issues with transportation was that, especially on Salem Street, they didn't want, it was a safety concern about having a restaurant set up and then like someone trying to parallel park and then a restaurant set up. So if there's a particular spot in the neighborhood, you might just want to give John a call and we can take a look at it together.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
There are a few spots, and when I inquired about it, they told me that the restaurant owners have nowhere to park when they come in, and so they get to take them parking spots, which I think is wrong for the residents that live here.
John,
So
I don't know.
they're allowed to park in spots.
Darlene, why don't
parking?
Yeah, Darlene, why don't you call me tomorrow? Let's go through, and obviously I live here, like I'll come walk around and see those spots. And so
Okay.
if they're not being used for outdoor seating, we could see where they are in the process, because they might be working through a part of the process, and I'll double check with Kathleen and her team on that as well.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and then Kathleen, the only other last question I just want to just direct to you is as far as music indoors with windows open. So restaurants that have music playing indoors, if they have that playing, I know the entertainment license doesn't extend out, but if they have the windows open and music playing inside, does that still affect it, or what's the ruling on that?
The entertainment license definitely does not extend into the outside space. You shouldn't be able to hear the music outside. At times you do, just by pure the nature of the weather that night or what it is. If there's an egregious example, let us know. We can send our license premise unit down there to take a look at it.
Mhm.
We don't want to be disturbing neighbors and residents any more than we've already disturbed them or asked them to put up with so far. So if there's an issue, let us know.
Perfect. Thank you, Kathleen. That's all the questions for me. The tough part with these Zoom meetings is trying to see if there's anyone else who's having trouble unmuting or speaking. So I'll just give it like 5 seconds. So please pardon the awkward silence right now if no one has questions. All right. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you for everything. Really, really appreciate you coming on this meeting tonight.
Thank you.